This is a scripting practice, not a fully fledged script for download. If you are looking for an already done and working solution, keep searching, thank you. The AI reacts to gunshots and people getting killed right in front of them, but they don't care about dead bodies that they haven't seen or heard getting killed. Not ideal for any stealth-based mission, so we have to make mods and scripts to make the AI behave. Today I will show you one way to do this. It's very simple and fit for single player or small scale co-op play, and I hope you will then be able to write some code of your own that will fit into whatever kind of mission you want to make. Alright, let's break it down to smaller chunks. The first issue we will face is how to know when an AI sees a dead body. We can see that when you place an AI in front of the dead body, the soldier will observe the body, he is aware of the situation, but it's surprisingly difficult to get a hold of this reaction, to trace it with just scripting. This is one of the AI behavior processes that SQF cannot reach. We will have to work around this. One way would be to scan the soldier's surroundings in short intervals and see if there are any dead bodies that he could see. Something like a radar, just checking constantly for any potential targets. We have plenty of great commands to do this. There's NearestObjects, NearestObjects, all dead men, all entities, any will do. That way we can scan around the soldier for dead bodies, and when we find one, we can raise an alarm. The only problem is that the soldier will now spot a body that's behind him, and he doesn't need to turn around. I've decided that I want a very unrealistic arcade mission, so I'll want to reduce the vision of my AI soldiers to a much more narrow arc. I am already limiting the maximum distance at which they spot a dead body with either NearestObjects, which has a distance parameter, or all dead men and an additional distance check. Now within this distance, I only want to search in an arc in front of the soldier. I will do that by adding another condition. Once all near dead bodies are found, before raising the alarm, I will also check each of these bodies and see if it is in the soldier's vision space or not. This way you can add multiple conditions for a dead body to be discovered. Once the body is discovered, we would want some adequate response from our guarding soldier. This can be just about anything you want. You can call reinforcements, alert other nearby groups, add a wanted star to the player, it doesn't really matter. I will show you two different setups so that you see it really isn't anything difficult. But more than that, I want to show you that this action can be made independently on the previous detection thing that I was talking about. Alright, enough talk, let's look at some code. We will start with the most simple, basic issue, finding any dead bodies in the vicinity of a specific soldier. I will use the command allDeadMen to obtain a list of all dead people. Then I create an empty array where I will store more specific results. Going through the list of all dead people, I can pick the ones that are close enough to my patrolling soldier for him to notice the body. The distance I selected is good enough for interiors and tight corridors, not so much for patrolling in a desert, but you can adjust the numbers as you see fit. When I get my list of nearby dead soldiers, I ask if there's at least one body in the vicinity. If there is one, an alarm can be raised. If not, the patrolling soldier is probably too far away to notice anything is wrong and he doesn't need to react. And that's the most basic version of the script. I will now gradually add more and more functionality and details to make the code more interesting and better suited for my mission. The changes from the previous version will always be highlighted by yellow color. The first thing I am going to add here is some form of custom field of view for my soldier. I cannot affect his actual vision, but I can change what bodies are detected by my script, simulating his reaction well enough. I will need to check each dead body that's close enough, which means running some sort of for each or for loop. It may seem that for each is the better option, but there are a few questions and slight issues that we might run to later on, so we'll use a for loop and we'll check each dead body in a separate function. But yes, if you know what they are doing, for each is the better option. I could write the code directly into the loop, but doing this quickly makes the code hard to read and understand, which only causes problems with error fixing and long-term development. So I will make a function, it doesn't need to be a global one, and within this function I need to calculate where exactly the body is. I will use vectors, since they offer me a clear and easy method of checking the position. First, I will take the direction my soldier is facing. Then I will make a second vector going from the soldier to the dead body. Then I take the two vectors and calculate the angle between them using the dot product of the two vectors. If you haven't worked with or heard about vectors, well, there's a lot of materials on the internet about them, and I got some info for you about the dot product right now on the screen. This allows me to compare this angle with the defined field of view, which is also just an angle. Imagine it like this. One of the vectors will always be the direction my soldier is facing, so the second vector, no matter what direction it takes, will always form an angle with this first vector. And this angle can be compared with my defined field of view, which is just a number telling me the maximum angle allowed. Any object with a larger angle from the soldier's direction will be simply outside his field of view. In the code, I am comparing the calculated result with the field of view divided by 2, because my soldier can see to his left and right. So the maximum angle allowed is exactly 1/2 of the field of view. So when you put the two halves together, you have the entire vision cone. Now, if I check for the second vector to the dead body and the angle is smaller than the max angle divided by 2, it means the body must be within this area defined as the soldier's field of view. If the angle is larger, the body is outside his field of view. I should also have some images on the screen that should help you understand what I mean. Okay, now let's explain why I used a for loop instead of for each. The answer is to avoid unnecessary calculations. Just by thinking about what my script needs to do, I quickly deduced that I only need to find one dead body that my soldier can see. Once he discovers a body, I don't need to continue searching and checking for more. The alarm will be raised nonetheless, and by continuing to check for more bodies after one has been found, I'm wasting the resources my computer has to run the game. For each might actually be a better option for an actual mission, as it is slightly faster than for, but it needs an extra structure like if, exit with. On the other hand, a for structure has a built-in condition check which is controlled on each cycle, allowing me to exit whenever I want. So I feel like it might be easier for you to understand what exactly the variable there is doing, but as I said, you might want to use the for each variant in your final script version. You have both variants of the code on the screen right now. So my plan is, on each cycle I take a dead body, I call a function which calculates the positions and angles, and that function returns a boolean value telling me whether the body is visible to the soldier or not. I put this returned value into a local variable, and I will check for that variable on each cycle. And I will keep searching until there is a body that is nearby and visible to the soldier. Once the body is found, the function will return true, the variable will update, and on the next cycle the loop will automatically end. Alright, we can add some more sophisticated ways to detect if an AI can actually see the dead body. One more thing that I will do here is check for any obstructions that may block the soldier's view, like walls or boxes. Imagine you put a body behind a wall, and the soldier will detect it from the other side of the wall if he is turned in the right direction. Not ideal. So I will add one more check. If the body is close enough and in the right angle, I will use LineIntersectsSurfaces command to check the space between the soldier's eyes and the dead body. Now there's a slight issue with this. The line is drawn between two positions, and every unit's position is defined by the model center, which is partially submerged in the surface. That means that whenever you run this test on a unit's position, the surface of the map will always block the line, and you will always get a wrong result. To adjust this, you can either check for a position slightly above the unit, or just find anything close enough. I'm using the eyes position of the dead body, meaning that soldiers will ignore legs sticking from behind a corner, but for my intentions it's good enough. Feel free to add more hardcore conditions if you need something more detail-oriented. One idea that might be doable would be to attach game logic units on the dead soldier's arms and legs and check the visibility of each of these parts, but as I said, this is something for you to consider and not my issue. Alright, now it's time to think about maybe placing this whole piece of code into a function to sort of set it apart from the rest. I don't know how much you'll want to add to the script, but this part of the script is done. It works well. It may be a good idea to put it aside and start working on another part. Now there's only one last problem before I consider this script finished. As it stands right now, the script will check for any dead bodies. It may or may not prompt the soldier to raise an alarm, but the script only runs once. When you call it, it does all the checking, and if there are no dead bodies around at that particular moment, it won't do anything. So we would need some sort of loop added into the script, and the question is how to write it and where to put it. See, now the script has a few lines. It's not as easy as when you are starting with a blank page, and there are a number of factors to take into account. I need this check to be done quite regularly, every 1 or 2 seconds, so that my soldier can react to threats. But I also need to somehow stop this checking when the soldier has found something. Once he's running to alert everyone, he doesn't need to check for more bodies. That would only cause problems because the script may be telling him to raise the alarm several times. It might reset some variables. All in all, it's something we definitely don't want. The problem here is that we don't know how long this alerted mode will last. It might be just a few seconds, like in Skyrim, where if you stay hidden, the enemies will ignore you after a while and return to their duties. But if you decide to attack at the time, the soldier may live for another couple of minutes, and we definitely don't want him to check for dead bodies while he's shooting or searching for a not so hidden target. So you can see that we have quite a number of variables here, but I don't want to endlessly run a while do loop and on each cycle just ask, do I search for bodies? No? Okay, so I'll just sleep 1 second and ask again. That is unnecessary. Again, it's a waste of resources. Sure, the computer will handle it, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a terrible habit. I, as a scripter, should do everything I can to make sure my script uses as little processing time as possible, so that the mission designer can use more than just this one creation, and that more scripts can run at the same time. Also remember that this script will probably run several times as well, because we will have more than one guard patrolling probably. I've decided to make a simple while do loop, running while the soldier is alive and repeating every 2 seconds. Always put a sleep command inside a while do loop. On every cycle I check the surroundings for dead bodies. If a body is found, I let this main loop sleep for a predefined amount of time, and then run a secondary loop which asks whether the soldier is still alive and if he knows something about the player. This is assuming that once the soldier registers player's presence, he will want to stay in alerted mode until he dies or the danger disappears. This loop runs for an undetermined time. But even if you get discarded and then instantly disappear, the soldier will stay in the alerted mode for the predefined time. This is ensured by sleeping for a time period before checking again. Once that is done, the loop goes through a 2-second pause, which is on every cycle, and then it all starts over again. This means that the script runs silently in the background from the moment you execute it to the moment the specified soldier dies. However, it is not using up all the time, since it sleeps for a good chunk of the time, and whenever a body is found, the interval for which the script is sleeping is even bigger. Alright, so for now, this is enough for the body detecting part of our main goal. Let's focus on the reaction for a little while. I will show you 2 different reaction scripts. They are much more simple than the one we have just made, and of course they are just a small demonstration of what you can do. At this point you have unlimited options, and your own skill is the only limit here. I will show you how to make a soldier run to a bell and ring the bell to alert nearby allies, and the second script will be to radio in a request for support. That should give you a good enough idea on how to do just about anything once a dead body is found. The script is more of the same commands that we already used. First I need to search for any bell objects in the vicinity. The two objects I use are these small towers. They both have a bell and could fit into many simple bases. If there is such an object around the soldier that he could run to, pick the nearest one and make the soldier move to the bell. If not, well, then the soldier probably won't do anything. I mean, if you have no way to raise the alarm, any running is a waste of time. Then I just need to wait until the soldier reaches the bell. Then I will play a custom sound effect of a bell ringing. In this case I am using PlaySound 3D to make it play in the actual game world, and well, then it just alerts all enemy soldiers in the area. So I will once again use a command to get a list of nearby objects. This time it's up for soldiers. Set the behavior to aware, and if you want you can move them somewhere important. The other example I promised was about the soldier calling in reinforcements. I decided to make this even more simple. It's just 2 or 3 commands, and basically it only comes down to using the command move for each truck that I want to go somewhere. I also added a command to change everyone's behavior to aware, just to sort of give it the alarm feel. I also decided to add a radio message sent to the player just to sort of inform him of the incoming reinforcements. I only briefly looked into the game files and used the first semi-related sound that I found, but any sound will do. Of course, it is also possible to use waypoints if you prefer them over commands. You just need to make one waypoint at a vehicle's position and then use a global variable. So let me just quickly show you how that would work. First you would open some object's properties window. It can be any object you placed. In the init box you want to write move reinforcements equals to false. Then you set up your reinforcement trucks and groups wherever you want. Add waypoints to them, and don't forget about the one waypoint on the first location. When that's done, open that first waypoint, delete the true in the condition box and write move reinforcements. Last step, open the script that handles what happens when the alarm is raised and add the line move reinforcements equals true. That's pretty much it. Should work now. I'm not gonna do it in my mission because I don't really trust waypoints, but it's possible to use waypoints as well. Alright, so that's about it. If you are wondering about something in the code, feel free to ask. I'm using small functions inside one script file because I like to divide the code into smaller parts. Ideally, each function should only do one thing, or at least solve one part of the problem. There are no rules to this, and you could just as well write a script without any functions or with 3 times as many functions as I have. I am trying to use as little global variables as possible so that I can run this script multiple times without worrying about changing my variables from an outside place. If you use global variables at the wrong place, it might happen that once one guard finds a body, all guards suddenly start running to the same place trying to sound an alarm. You get the idea. Well, alright. All the code can be found in the video description. I think I'll also make the whole testing mission available for download. See you next time.